On the 12th day of Tradmas, the internet gave to us comments. Hello, and welcome to the 12 Days of Tradmas. If you're new around here, my name is Kit, and Tradmas is a series I do in December where I talk about the harmful beliefs and ideas promoted by certain influencers, content creators, and so on. Basically, my normal content, but more of it and with a festive flair. And today, we're discussing the best worst comments of 2024. But before we get into that, I would like to add that there's a 2025 creator survey linked below if you would like to fill that out and offer feedback on the channel in 2024 and give suggestions as to what you would like to see in 2025. And now, let's take a look at the commenting guidelines for my channel. Sources and resources are in the description box. Bigotry isn't welcome here. Bad faith, disinformation, gish galloping, ad homs equals a boot. Simple, right? Well, Jason says, while Misha did not make a good defense of trad wives, I fear your video falls victim to the fallacy, where someone makes a bad argument for something, therefore that thing is wrong. Misha very well could be wrong about trad wives, yet you do not cite any evidence to support this, and don't even provide a definition of a trad wife, despite saying that the people Misha talks about aren't trad wives. So I responded with timestamps where I did indeed provide the definition, and also noted my sources can be found in the description box. And they responded, thanks for the response. I'll look into the description for your evidence. And then on the Chris Williamson video for Tradmas, Fleet Admiral said, but did he tell a lie though? You know, if people would actually watch the videos they're commenting on, that would really help answer their questions. Though I do want to say I don't think Chris Williamson believes he's lying, but he is wrong, hence the video. And I always include links to the original video I'm commenting on, as well as sources for any claims I make, and I note that in the video, and that's the first note in the commenting guidelines, which pop up when it's your first time commenting. I would be so embarrassed to leave a comment like this. Mama Bear says, Melena's home looks warm and inviting, full of love and life, and the feminist lady criticizing her looks like her home is cold and sad. Maya jumped in saying, yes, agree. When we have the spirit of God, we shine light, and when you don't, you spread darkness and look hateful. Diane says, how old is this person? Her room looks like a teenager's. Does she still live at home with mommy and daddy? Does mommy do her laundry? And David says, you are so not winning any argument with this beautiful woman's cheat code for a living. Women's hypergamy won't allow the husband to have the absolute privilege to stay at home. Just look at her background versus yours. Hashtag no contest. I do find it funny when people comment on my home. Like, really? A whole video, and that's all you have to say? You don't like some aspect of my home? The home I pay for, that I live in, that has nothing to do with you, and that you only see a sliver of? Okay. And then there's the other side of that coin. Found Sheep says, sorry you can't debate an attractive, elegant woman looking like that in your video. And I am a woman. I can't listen to you looking like that trying to debate her. She wins, it just takes a look at you both. I know she is right and you are losing and wrong. Either put more effort into how you present yourself on the whole internet while trying to fight a woman who's out of your league, or... Lady says, LOL, you look and sound miserable, congratulations. Really? A whole video and all you can focus on is my appearance? And you decide who's right based on who you think is prettier? That's honestly sad and scary. Chris says, dude, seriously, the video is completely unwatchable as much as you interrupt. Has this person never watched a commentary video before? I have to interrupt, otherwise I would just be watching a video, and that's usually frowned upon and called stealing. And I do link to the original in my videos, so if someone wants the actual video without my commentary, it's right there. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt says, enjoy your cats. Men have checked out of this chat show of marriage. Of course I enjoy my cats. This isn't the first time I've had pretty much this exact same comment, and it's so weird. Why do they think I have cats? Because I hate them? Because I want to torture myself? AP says, the best investment for strong and independent woman, cat food. Yes, as a cat owner, hello Emily, we're just talking about you. And she was just eating, so perfect timing. Yes, as a cat owner, I do indeed invest in cat food, because when I adopted my cats, I made a commitment to, yes, Emily, to care for them, and feeding them is part of that. It has nothing to do with being strong or independent. Johnny says, why was this nonsense on my homepage? Unless you are a man and you have been in modern dating culture, I doubt you could see past your feminist delusions. The amount of bias you have will never cease to amaze me. I don't think Johnny watched the video, which makes sense as he apparently didn't want to see my content at all on his homepage. But by commenting, well, that sends the algorithm the opposite message. And don't whinge at me when more of my videos are suggested. Saber says, feminists are the only type of people to get offended by someone telling them to go have sex. You aren't just bitchless, you make a conscious effort to stay bitchless. That's probably why all of y'all are the most porn addicted. Feminists are the most porn addicted? They might want to fact check themselves, but anyway, setting aside the fact that no one should be telling someone to have sex, Brett Cooper wasn't telling people to have sex, she was telling them to have kids. I can see where the confusion might come in, but they are two very different things. Mia says, oh honey, you trying to be a tube tuber, get yourself some tube steak and get dictated. You'll be happier. You need to stop this. A running theme I've noticed is that people are way too comfortable trying to tell women what to do. And on that note, let's go on a little journey. Earlier this year, I did a video educating Matt Walsh about polyamory, and I got the idea for it from a video by Dead Domain, which I left a comment on. This person saw my comment and wandered over to my channel where we had this conversation on a completely unrelated post. Franco says, hey, I saw you were tricked into thinking polyamory, the unmarried version of polygamy, which feminists have throughout human history battled against and not for, is something valid and good and cool because Matt Walsh, the dumbest person critical of it, was cherry-picked to make people with already that opinion feel good about their shit take. Now, I'm here to tell ya, oh, it's not rare for no reason. Monogamy's commonality ain't a random coincidence. A 100 versus 1 cliff and being practiced doesn't come out of nowhere. And having to point to fascist wanker Matt Walsh just to cause a feel-good feeling in their viewers is quite deceptive. I was very confused by that comment, and I asked a few questions. Are you saying I was tricked into thinking polyamory is good because Matt Walsh doesn't like it? Are you saying feminists fought against polyamory? Are you saying polyamory is rarer than monogamy because it's not good? Which was apparently the wrong question to ask because he came back with, yeah, basically, but you phrase it all in a way that makes it sound like you don't get the very basic logic and obviousness behind it all. What kind of knockoff feminist are you? It's pretty obvious that video was saying that Matt Walsh says it's bad, so it must be good. I have also since then talked with that nuts YouTuber and well, she's nuts. And yeah, polyamory is the unmarried but identical in every way version of polygamy, which has a well-documented 1,000-year history of sexism that doesn't come out of nowhere, and its issues aren't fixed by adding a spoon of consent like internet-raised children often like to pretend. It's painfully obvious that polyamory's rarity says quite a lot, and by no means are the two things equal when one is practiced 100 times less. I see you're confused about lots of things, so let's not talk about this. I'm just gonna not reply to you because playing Mr. Obvious and saying a 99 versus 1 cliff of being practiced doesn't come out of nowhere, but you seem ignorant to everything one could possibly have against polyamory while being progressive, so I take my leave. Stay ignorant, bye. Of course, they then responded to themselves. A bit rude to write another comment after I blocked you, but I remembered words I saw once and wanted to quote them to you. I wanted to recommend against pursuing poly romances. It's none of my business what you do, but in a similar way how doctors just like healing crystals, I as a relationship therapist do have beef with the internet myth of polyamory's healthiness. Long story short, polyamory isn't rare AF for no reason, I just wanted to let you know. So I gave a very brief response saying, I've actually been in polyam relationships, but sure, I'll stay ignorant, not sure why you would block me, but thanks for the engagement and content fodder. And despite blocking me, they somehow got that comment and said, sure sounds ignorant. I mean, do you even know the word bias, let alone bias boner? Yeah, you're polyamorous, so this means you vouching for your own unhealthy relationship means literally jack shit. Here, be blocked to infantile little child. Can't believe what you just ended your comment with. Thanks for the engagement, lolol. Brain rot level 1000, as expected of someone uncivilized enough to be the modern version of a concubine, thinking it's all dandy because consent is involved. Hello, my baby. And then someone else chimed in, apparently a restaurant, saying, he's right, you sound incredibly ignorant, even if we ignore that last arrogant strip about the content fodder. Honey, it doesn't count as engagement if it's under community, so he's not helping your channel, that small failing channel of yours, anyway. How stupid do you have to be to think that something is bad because it's less common, especially in a society that isn't friendly to it? As someone who's been in both monogamous and polyamorous relationships, the former is socially so much easier. But speaking of my small failing channel, Hammerhead says, All feminists hate men and seek to take their positions for themselves and push men out, or Kit wouldn't have so many subscribers. Fun fact, she also hates men. She hates families and children as well. It's always weird to me when someone uses my name to make such outlandish claims, but I do appreciate how, to some, my channel is small and failing, and to others, I have so many subscribers. Anyway, The Collector says, "You aren't oppressed, white girl, full stop." And then, please provide empirical evidence of this patriarchy and how it was created. Like all feminists, you literally just make things up and then present it as theory without any evidence whatsoever. My dude, patriarchy has literally been studied. Papers have been published on it. If you think it's a theory with no empirical evidence, that's because you're ignoring it. I literally put the sources right there. All you have to do is scroll up and click. Anyway, let's talk about Hybrid Vigor's obsession with lesbians. I really thought this was a one-off, but they just kept coming back. This was a really weird comment in general because it was on the fundamental superficiality of classically Abby, so what? But whatever. Lesbians have nothing to do with men or heterosexual people. To which I said, what do lesbians have to do with this video? And of course, lesbians have male and heterosexual friends, co-workers, and family members. That is seriously such a stupid thing to say. But then it keeps going. Consider the conflict of interest, as lesbians don't even have brains like women and only seek to destroy relationship between men and women. It's kind of a predatory thing to do. You know that you guys have the highest domestic violence rates against women and the worst relationships of all couples. These lesbian grooming channels have popped up everywhere and so many people fall for it. They're just predators. Lesbians who have brains more like men speaking for straight women is misogyny. Lesbians have nothing to do with heterosexual relationships, and there are conflict of interest as obviously they are separatists. The whole channel is lesbians attacking neurological women. When anybody says men or women without specific context of it being LGBT, it's assumed they're straight, so I hope you're not putting yourself in that. And that was when I finally responded to him and said, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but I'm not a lesbian, and even if I were, your obsession would be concerning. Are you okay? Sometimes people's brains are scary. Lesbians aren't separatists. Some can be, but that's not the default or the norm. And critiquing a woman doesn't mean you're a lesbian, nor does having short hair. I really can't think of what would give this person an idea that I'm a lesbian anyway, but whatever. So weird. Anyway, I guess we need to talk about the election. Suzanne says, Title IX will be restored. So glad the party of blatant misogyny, censorship, authoritarianism, perversion, and war lost so bigly, and it looks like the D's will keep losing, hopefully forever. Scapegoat says, Tradcons? What is that? Is that another devil word you use to call people who don't agree with the god of your political party? The source of all woke goodness and tolerance, right? Some people voted for Trump simply because they don't believe abortions are holy and gender isn't real. Simply put, they have a different religion than you. If you believe that abortions are a holy sacrament for women's power, fine, but those are your religious beliefs and should not be forced upon the country at the national level. Power should be dispersed, not consolidated. Fight for your religion at the state level. That's America. Stop saying that you're for all women's rights when you're only fighting for one specific right and you want a national mandate without any state restrictions. I don't hate all women, but I do hate any woman who is so arrogant and wicked that she won't even have a discussion about something as important as killing a baby. I hope the backlash is tremendous. You deserve it. Caesar says, You're so uninformed. Democrats could have made Roe v. Wade into law many times. They did not. They never will. Because they want it to be an issue every single election. No one is banning your choice. Trump being elected has no bearing on choices or life. At worst, you might have to drive to another state if you want a late-term election. No one is taking any rights from you. Don't be so spoiled. There are bigger problems than your coochie. While Luigi says, yawn, just fear-mongering nonsense as usual. Trump was already president and not a single one of your ridiculous doomsday scenarios happened. Why should I believe you now? You live in fear because you want to, not because you have a legitimate reason to. Robert says, your video title and the content of your video itself is absolute delusional nonsense and cope. You are indeed miserable and you are indeed uninformed. Get off progressive internet. Better yet, get off the internet clean for a few months. Perhaps get some in-person outside group counseling and help if that's not enough. You properly should. Seriously. Force Captain says, I see nothing but people celebrating. This is so satisfying. Where was your video when conservatives were being called Nazis and garbage? I bet all you did was clap. Lefties need a taste of their own medicine. This is so pathetic. The majority of Americans voted for Trump. Cope and seethe. And then someone on my election video asked what my zodiac sign was, and I responded, and Force Captain took offense to that apparently and responded, no surprise she answered that. You could just tell she's one of those types. One of what types? Anyway, I don't buy that Scapegoat doesn't know TradCon is short for traditional conservative. And who knew? That's a devil word. The only thing I can tell from these comments is that Trump fans are obsessed with abortion, which I mentioned a whole once in the context that it's these same people telling us Trump won't sign a national ban, even though that's one of the reasons a lot of them voted for him, because they thought he was more likely to sign one than Harris. I didn't offer any doomsday scenarios. In fact, I said not to do that. And they also apparently didn't recognize that my title was a tongue-in-cheek reference to the titles of these videos from TradCons celebrating the election by videos of leftists losing it over the election. Though, speaking of which, I said all of the above in a community post and got this comment. Celine says, "Just leave the country as a liberal since you all hate it so much here. America has spoken and we are sick of your entitled bullshit. Go cry, leftists." Why should I leave? I'm an American citizen. I have just as much a right to be here, just as much a right to voice my opinions as anyone else. And again, leftists and liberals aren't interchangeable. Anyway, on a lighter note, someone finally came for Carissa months after the Pronatalist propaganda video. Kendra says, "There is nothing wrong with having 10 kids. It isn't propaganda, her lifestyle is not a moneymaker. Just because this isn't your desire doesn't make it wrong. But perhaps it could be wrong for you. All of her children have a choice whether or not they have children. Do you have children? I don't think so. So how would you be such an expert in this area? Not being mean, but you don't. You are a feminist cat lady. You choose to do you, leave Carissa to do her. I am not preventing Carissa, or anyone else, from living their life as they choose. However, Carissa is choosing to use her life and kids as content, choosing to publish books about why people should have kids. You can't be surprised when people call that out. And no, I don't have kids, but my grandmother was number 9 of 10, and she was very vocal about how much she hated it. Coincidentally, none of her siblings had 10 kids themselves. The most any of them had was 4. Anyway, let's do some more one-offs before we go on some journeys. A while back, I posted asking people if they schedule their life around their period, and got this comment. Elsa says, "Don't you mean women and girls?" I noted that women and girls are people, and user jumped in saying, "Yes, she misspoke. Women are the only people who have uteruses to shed the lining of." I did not misspeak, you do not speak for me. And in your quest to deny the existence of trans women, you deny women and girls their humanity. Women and girls are people. I'm not into conspiracies, but at this point, I think this is a psyop to convince people that women aren't people. Klimt says, "Women. Society needs to do more about men sexually assaulting women. Also women. Swipes right on only the top 4.5% of attractive men on dating apps, leading to mass sexual starvation and desperation among most men, creating the motivation for sexual assault in the first place. It's like when a government creates mass wealth inequality and wonders why people get desperate and start stealing. Gender equality isn't one way. It must be reciprocated. Sexual starvation isn't a real thing, and even if it were, there's no excuse for rape. And am I imagining it, or is this person trying to blame women for sexual assault because of their imaginary stat that women swipe right on 4.5% of men on dating apps? I understand the meaning of touch grass now. And what is this gender equality must be reciprocated? Are they trying to say that gender equality will be women having sex with men they don't want to have sex with? Remember how I said some people's minds are scary? This is another example. So a while back, Myron Gaines of Fresh and Fit posted on Twitter, "I'm convinced if women didn't have vaginas or tits, men would spend 0 time talking to or courting women. Am I right or am I damn right?" And then someone commented on that with, "To quote my father, if women did not look the way they do, men would have hunted and killed them long ago." And for some reason, that is when Mark decided to chime in with, "Find me a woman who's absolutely hot from head to toe, who's anything more than an attention you-know-what, or doesn't intentionally utilize her looks, a form of prostitution in all cases, but instead solely centers around her character and intellect. There is almost no such thing, and this demonstrates the nature of all women. If you magically, instantaneously turned super hot, you'd be the same. Nearly all women are empty shells. Ironically, one of the rare few who isn't totally like that and actually has quite a bit of a soul, despite having a past and still not being perfect, is the girl you disparaged, Taylor Alicia / the Bible chick." I see. If a woman is attractive and says what you want to hear, she has a soul. If she's not, she's an empty shell. And now the empty shells are malfunctioning by daring to insist that they're people too and are not actually here to serve men. I would like to again call attention to what post this comment was made on, completely ignoring that Myron sees no reason to interact with women outside of sex, and his own commenter upped the misogyny by allegedly quoting his own father, who said that if women weren't attractive, men would have killed them. How does the brain skip over all that to get to women are empty shells? Well, I guess this is actually a great example of what happens if you listen to Manosphere rot for too long. You can't imagine women as people, only as something that exists at your pleasure. That was it for the one-offs. It's time for some journeys. I don't know what it is about abuse, but it certainly brings out some people. Swing City says, dang, this one did not play out well. Destiny is now going through a divorce for not being stronger as a male. Really sad. Your very first point was moot. Single fathers raise children better than single mothers, an astronomical degree. It's statistical. Almost as good as a nuclear mother and father together. Do you really not know this, or are you just pretending not to know? Okay, I'm now seeing you have hundreds of videos and 2,000 followers. Awesome. I decided to follow you to see what ends up happening to you / seeing what you do to yourself. My response? I don't know what point you think I was making, but women tend to fare worse financially after divorce, and we know poverty is connected to worse outcomes. Single fathers raise children better is a definitive statement for only 5 to 17% of the single parent population being fathers. The people in this video, well, except maybe MDL, would say that women are better caretakers and thus should be the ones to stay home with the kids / take on the majority of childcare, which is still the prevailing belief of most Americans and why 90% of custody decisions are, 1, decided by the parents, not a court, and 2, most often give primary custody to the mother. Personally, I think it would be great if men were involved in home and family more. It's improved since the 60s, but it's still a stark contrast. And silly me, it was actually me they were most interested in discussing. You disputed nothing. You can sit in that tiny room you rent with no family, and it will always hurt in the micro. I myself wanted a family by now, but alas, the lesser half is disturbing by and large. On the macro, this slow march toward 1984 THX 1138 kind of life will only be prevented by another shitty inevitability, a Handmaid's Tale-like world. All because machines made chores too easy to do for a protected gender to feel necessary or even have purpose. That coupled with women pointlessly in the workforce, a ploy to let the government tax more. Now you guys have nowhere to go. I hate to say it, but I think homelessness is in your specific future. I see many women out here now who also overvalue themselves out of society. You have many qualities these females have. I'm literally looking at one right now talking to herself in the car as I type this. Holy shit. I truly wish you and your kind the best of luck. I responded saying, the tiny room is my dining area and I have a family, not sure why you think I don't. You don't have a family because you consider women your lesser half. Whereupon Swing responded with, LOL, you do not have a family. What kind of family is gonna last with you kind of people in it? Good luck out there. And I said, if that's what makes you feel better to believe, have a good day. And so Swing responded, if you think you're doing well, you're lying to yourself. So be it. Good luck, dude. And I responded, and I still stand by this, I'm not going to lie, it's really weird that you feel the need to try and convince me my life isn't my life. Whereupon Swing says, LOL, no one cares what you think. Homeless in the next 5 years, minus 400 line, whatever that means. And someone else said, you people are so miserable. Whereupon Swing responded to me as if I was the one that said that with, LOL, there's a camera pointed at you. You're exposing yourself. We can judge and don't need your projection. I don't know if they thought the other person was me or what, but that was such a weird conversation. And what do you get out of insisting someone you don't know is miserable? Anyway, we're not done yet. It's going to get weirder. So Rainra commented on my Just Play Things, the Paul Elam interview with, first one of your videos that made sense. I found that to be a kind of strange comment, but I said thanks because, you know, polite. And Rainra came back with, I think the deck is stacked against females. We're raised to want and achieve things on our own, but boys are raised understanding they must provide for a family, feeling entitled. A girl's just naturally going to want to help, pitch in, nurture. Today, girls seem to be raised to be independent, and boys are raised to be dependent on the love and helpfulness of women. The two growing stages for both sexes are totally different. I still have no idea what to say to that, but okay. And then, 2025 marks the end of an era. The extinction of the common housewife and married moms. A lot of misinjury amongst FCLS and many of her commenters. Don't be hatin', ladies. I of course asked for examples of this hatred of men, and Rainra responded, I'm gonna give you credit. On a scale of 1 to 10, you're only a level 5 misandrist. The girls you're critiquing, presenting as tradcons, are the level 10 misandrist. They're fake, totally fake. They even have you fooled. Those are the ones who really hate men. They even fool you into trying to find faults within their facade of being a good wife. But in doing so, although I do see the points you're trying to make, you're opening up your female viewers a platform to hate on men. Have you read your comments? My god, this is a total bee's hive. I apologize for my commenters not behaving to her liking, and someone else chimed in asking for what comments exactly in this video were misandrist, and although they wouldn't tell me, they did respond to this commenter in a very weird way, but whatever. So we are going to go through and look at these timestamps. 30 seconds, FCL's rhetoric on JD Vance's statement is totally misandristic. You need to take many steps back if you could not see the misandric approach toward JD's statement. I was expecting more of your opinion on it. Then LC doing a piece on it shows that LC is nothing but a huge misandrist. If you're claiming to be a traditionally conservative girl and you're bragging on social media about it, then that makes you a total fraud. Then FCLS turns around, gets FEMA emo triggered, and in turn does a social media piece on a piece already done by a TradCon fraud, makes you a misandrist too. So that timestamp, I introduced the video. JD Vance, Trump's VP for the 2024 presidential election, made some comments in 2021 about how miserable, childless cat ladies are running the country, which apparently got a lot of people up in arms when that video was discovered. Apparently, stating the man's name is hating men. At 1 minute 35 seconds in, you're being not only misandristic, but sarcastically backhanded and very satirically redundant. For misogyny's sake, you already covered this at 30 seconds. This from JD, and when your whole thing is that marriage and motherhood are the pinnacle of womanhood, of course you're going to say that women who don't follow that path are miserable. No? At 30 seconds in, I had just introduced the video. 4 minutes 30 seconds. Here it's evidently pretty clear that you're talking just to talk. You don't even have a clue why you're doing this piece other than just to talk, and you were emotionally triggered. Misandrous behavior, by the way. I guess maybe because you don't have kids and you feel you need to justify your situation for some reason. That entire line of thinking is the pinnacle of being a misandrist. You can't even see it. Take some steps back, get some therapy. Your therapist won't tell you you're a misandrist because they know no matter what, you can't see it. At that timestamp, that's not even me talking.
I really don't. I know it may seem like I spend a disproportionate amount of my time on this channel talking about and kind of complaining about women.
At 5 minutes and 40 seconds, the whole disclaimer bit, yep, more sarcastic misandry. Your entire reason for doing these is to find faults in TradCon pieces.
I can be diplomatic.
That was supposed to be a disclaimer. I guess sarcasm is man-hating? 8 minutes 40 seconds. You said it yourself. You're not interested in TradCon talking points. FCLS, you have a knife in your head. What you know, you have a knife in your head. Take it out, you'll feel better. If you don't care about TradCon talking points, why do you waste so much of your time trying to split them and digest them? At 8:50, really disappointed, not much misandry in the outro, and I was expecting more reasons for even doing the piece. But also decided those same women were just being too emotional and making a case for why women shouldn't vote. I would ask which is it because it can't be both, but it doesn't matter. Lauren doesn't want women to vote anyway. I'm not interested in TradCon talking points, but I did find her conclusion... yeah. Misandry count 4, but I'm sure you'll take no accountability towards it, and I'm pretty sure you have self-misandry blindness. Night girl, all these TradCons are misandrous. I'm still not seeing the man hate in that video, but I don't think people need for me to spell out why I do a video, but it's fairly obvious. I do the video because I have something to say. So I responded, so let me get this straight. I ask you what I said, and you don't give me an answer, but someone else asks, and you give them a short novel, and you refer to them as if they're me? This is bizarre, but oh well, more fodder for the end of your comments video. Thanks. And they responded, it takes a while to digest what you're trying not to say, and the person asked if they were you, and I tried to express back and forth between you both, but you digress and split things farther. You're a tangent creator. It's okay though. I'm a self-admitted misandrist. I didn't realize it till I had people point it out to me. And I don't know where this next one came from, but whatever. Rinra again says, now, me being Jewish is different. Orthodox Jews don't believe in the devil, that hell isn't a place but a state of mind, and that the Satan is part of God's council of angels and not a fallen angel. So when I hear Christian women talking about God, 99% of time, she's using God or Jesus as a cope to gain some type of control and or moral high ground. As far as everything else, I didn't realize how big my ego was or how self-unaware I was. Long story short, I had a dude ask me if I wanted a looser boyfriend. Sarcastically, I agreed to take him up on it. I work and he flexes with my money, he puts everything back into me, fixed my car, made my house and flower gardens better, etc. He wants to work, but society isn't nice to dudes at all. I'd say, take your cats to a shelter, get yourself the most looserish boyfriend you could find, have sex for 150 days and see if you're happier. Try it. I know you will be. Night, but you won't because you're like I used to be. Ego's too big. And then in a community post, I mentioned going on a date, and when have you ever said something positive about men? Please don't hurt your date. And then, how'd your date go? Were his shoes too dusty? Did he pay? Did you even like him? Do tell, FCLS. Sometimes I live in people's heads rent-free. It does amuse me though to see what folks think of me. 9 times out of 10, they're so far off. And I know people get worried and think I'm letting the comments get to me, but I really do just find them funny and sometimes a bit weird. And sometimes I do respond just to egg them on. Generally though, I am genuinely interested to see where they're going. And then sometimes it's just for engagement. But I do appreciate this apparent inability to not comment on something you don't like or are not interested in, especially when it's to tell me how you don't know how my videos ended up recommended to you. You're actually not helping yourself by leaving a comment. But please do tell me if more of my videos end up in your feed. Though I think my favorites are those who say they're going to block me. Do they think I'm going to beg them not to? But that is it, and to those who leave kind, thoughtful comments, thank you. And double thanks to those who try to explain things to people who just come in and try to stir up trouble. I really do appreciate it, and when you see nasty comments, please feel free to report. I don't have notifications turned on, so especially replies to a comment I don't tend to see unless they're caught in the filter, which is set to strict because I don't want my channel to become a hotbed of misinformation or of hate, but some things do still slip through and I can't be everywhere. Anyway, that's it for 2024. Cheers to 2025, I guess. And that's it for the 12th day of Tradmas. Thank you so much for watching, and I would like to give extra thanks to my patrons. My socials and Patreon are linked below, along with sources and resources, and I'll see you in the next video.